Welcome to the Stress Olympics, where burnt out brains meet coping mechanisms, and only one generation can take home the gold in emotional collapse. Let's meet our contestants. First up, it's the 1960s kids, Generation X in this corner. Generation X, raised without Wi-Fi, survived Y2K, and still thinks therapy is just complaining for money. They might have traded their Game Boys for grown-up responsibilities, but they're still emotionally constipated since dial-up. Next, the middle child, Millennials in this corner. Millennials, crushed by student loans, housing prices, and toxic productivity. But at least they have podcasts about boundaries. They spend their days budgeting for therapy and their nights binge-watching reality TV because adulting is hard, but at least they have friends. And finally, the youngest and most diverse generation, Generation Z in this corner. Generation Z, anxious, hyper-aware, and emotionally fluent in memes. They're depressed but also kinda cute about it. They'd rather DM their feelings than tell their parents, and that's why TikTok was invented. But before we let these generations duke it out in the comments, let's talk coping mechanisms, because if there's one thing they have in common, it's burying their mental breakdowns in unhealthy ways. So how does Generation X handle stress? They keep calm and bury it deep. They're the stoic type, independent and self-sufficient. Their idea of self-care is a stiff upper lip and a stiff drink. How about Millennials? They meditate, cry, repeat. They're all about balance and boundaries, but sometimes those boundaries are crossed, and their well-being is less zen and more burning out. As for Gen Z, they cry then post a meme. They're the emotional geniuses of social media, turning pain into punchlines because laughter is the best medicine unless it's your pain they be laughing at. Now let's see how each generation reacts to the ultimate stressors: student loans, climate change, and world pandemics. First, the APA reports that 70% of Gen Z has reported symptoms of anxiety or depression compared to 60% of millennials and only 30% of Gen Xers, but they'll never admit it. That's right, according to the CDC, suicide rates are twice as high for Gen Z than previous generations, but they'd rather scroll through TikTok than seek help. For millennials, the CDC reports that almost half have considered suicide and 40% have reported symptoms of anxiety. But at least they're trying to make it work because, according to the WHO, millennials are dying. Yep, millennials have the unhealthiest lifestyle out of all generations. As for Gen X, they're kind of the weird ones. They have the highest rates of chronic conditions like diabetes and heart disease, but they're also the most optimistic about their health, which may be their superpower or their downfall. So who takes home the gold medal in emotional collapse? The American Psychological Association, the Centers for Disease Control, and the World Health Organization all agree it as a tie between Gen Z and millennials, but they're not wrong. And the winner is Generation Z. Congratulations! Your prize, a digital detox and a nap. Because sometimes being connected means being overwhelmed, and the quietest generation takes the loudest hit to their mental health. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe if you're new. And until next time, remember to breathe, stay tuned for our next video.